So it's just like a really poor idea. Now, what do I think the solution is? Okay, so there's been lots of talk about the solution to this, and I had, as I mentioned earlier, I had a bit of back and forth with Tom on it on Twitter. First of all, I want to be clear: what I'm proposing is never going to happen. So, is it even a solution if it's like a pipe dream? Probably not. But I could tell you how I would want this codex release schedule to work anytime there's a new edition, right? So anytime there's a new edition, there should be an index release, right? Even if none of the books get up, all the books are getting updated, or there should be a and that index release could literally just be like a points update and then like some errata updates. Like it doesn't have to be the full codexes. It could be like, hey, here is for all the 9th edition books. So just like they released a chapter approved or like a Imperial Armor Xenos or whatever, or Imperial Armor for Forge World, they could release a kind of like 9th edition codex amendum thing for free, and that's going to have FAQ and errata for all of the 8th edition books. So that right away brings all of the 8th edition books into 9th edition, and that could include things like keyword updates, errata, could include things like secondaries, faction secondaries, so that it's like kind of a even playing field for everyone. Could include some very basic updates like 2 wound fucking Space Marines for Chaos and Space Marines, right? So it could include those basic things just to get everyone kind of up to that level, that 9th edition level. And then as the new codex is released, which should be on a, and guess what? All this needs to be available digitally, right? So that so this is, first of all, it has to be digital. And they can do a paper copy at some point, but it's got to be digital. That's the one thing that I got to be really clear. Second, they release this like index errata, just like they do for when they release like the 15 FAQ documents, when they do it for the big FAQs, and they do the rulebook one, they do a chapter proof one, and they do ones for every codex. Something similar like that, but for all the 8th edition books, right? That gets us into, it gets everyone a foot in the door into 9th edition, gives the Chaos Space Marines 2 wounds, gives us all faction secondaries. But other than that, maybe doesn't change, maybe updates points, but doesn't change a ton, right? Updates keywords, adds like things like aura or certain stratagem, whatever. That's the first step. Second step is all books should go through public beta test. So just like we had the Sisters Codex, and the Sisters Codex had a public beta test where it was kind of rules were sent out essentially to the player base. All codexes should go through that period, no matter what, right? So they're going to release, say, the next 4 codexes. All 4 of those codexes should get a beta test period where there's a feedback session from the general public. And so those rules are out in the wild. People can play with those rules. They're not tournament ready. And then once those rules are kind of updated, errata's caught, all those things, they're finalized and then they're released digitally, right? And then a paper copy maybe comes down 4 to 6 months down the road whenever the printing stuff happens. Maybe that comes out with the kits that come out at that time, right? Or they don't include any new data sheets in those beta codexes. And then when the paper copy comes out and the kits come out, they update the digital with the new data sheets. Plus you get your paper copy with the new data sheets as well. Like something along those lines. So with the digital distribution, you don't have to include any units that aren't released yet, right? Because you could say that, hey, this is a new unit coming up. We can just add that into the digital codex because it's all digital now. So that data sheet appears now all of a sudden. So that's the second thing. Third, there's a beta test, right? Fourth, when there's if they want to do a physical copy, and this is why I don't think they should do physical copies, they should be de-linked. You should have a lore and art and painting book called, like, I don't know, Codex Sisters, and that has lore and painting and art, but it has crusade rules maybe, right? But it has no data sheets and no points, and it has no like stratagems. It has none of the actual gaming rules, right? So now, guess what that also does? It means I don't have to buy a new one of those every edition, because they can now only reprint that every 2 editions. Only when that army gets new kits or needs an actual update, because that lore, like, think about it. I have there's 9 editions or 8 editions or 10 editions of fucking Codex Chaos Space Marines. Do I need to read about fucking Abaddon the Despoiler every single edition, a big data entry? Do I need to read about the fucking Horus Heresy 8 times in 8 different kind of ways? Like, they're basically just plagiarizing their own content. So why don't you guys release a faction specific lore art and paint book that comes out, and then that only gets updated every like 6 years or every 8 years or whenever it actually needs to get updated, because there's a big release with new kits and new stuff for that edition, and there's a bunch of new lore that they want to put in. Now what I've done is, for people that really want that codex, they want that like fluff, they want that all that stuff, it's still there, they can get it, And then for people that want the rules, it's delinked from that whole process. And we don't have to buy that physical book. Like if I still am interested in that, what's the point of me buying like my Codex Death Guard and my 7th edition, 8th edition Codex Death Guard? All the shit is basically the same. It's like, make it the same, but change it, right? They take it and they fucking, rearrange some of the stories, and it's just regurgitating the same stories. So I'm rereading the same stuff. Now, obviously, when there's new rules, new units, they add a bit more fluff. But again, these things can happen. These don't need to be linked to the rule release, right? These could be like a completely separate thing. So you do that process, and then on top of that, by doing a public beta, you could either release all of the rules for all of the books at once, right? So people can kind of work on all of them, or you could do it in, say, batches of 6 or batches of 4. And then you need to shrink that release schedule for the digital rules to like a year maximum. So like from the start of 9th edition to the final codex coming out, it's 1 year, right? So every 3 months you get 4 books, right? Or 6 books, or whatever it takes to finish all the factions. Or maybe it's even longer than that. Maybe it's like slightly more than a year. But all of a sudden, your edition gets updated very quickly. You're gonna get the ability to change things like after the fact if we discover later on that things are broken. And we're going to get into that in a sec, because guess what? There's been a Drukhari fac, there's been an Admech fac, and those armies are still at a 20% plus T-whip and still destroying the meta. And they're not going to get another FAQ to get them brought into balance until, guess what? The next chapter approved, which is probably at least another 6 to 8 months away. So the meta is going to be fucked for another 6 to 8 months, because whoever wrote those books just didn't know what the fuck they're doing. Sisters are still top tier. Orcs have gotten some wins as well. So my point is like, to make this a better game, right? You have to make some changes to your process. On top of that, like your distribution needs to change, right? Like how they distribute it, which is going digital. The beta, there needs to be beta testing, public beta testing, 100%. Because your playtesters, they ain't it, man. Like if we can have Drukhari and Admech get through, and the devs write those books, the playtesting ain't it, right? Like the playtesting isn't enough. It's not doing it. You guys need more feedback, more people looking at it. Sorry?
They're not listening. They're not listening.
Well, even if they were, like, here's the thing. I know that they're not listening to the playtesters, and I know a lot of people like to shit on the playtesters. They don't listen to the playtesters. I've talked to a lot of them. Alex talks to lots of them. Most of us know some playtesters. They don't listen to them. But my point is like, there's not that many of them, right? What they need is the whole community reading and going through these books and like editing them and like updating, like going through that beta, right? And then giving that feedback and having a lot of eyes on it, not just one. And then once those books come out, if they're digital, guess what? If they fuck up, it's a lot easier to update. Like they could do a monthly patch cycle, right? Where every month they do, at the end of the month, there's like a balance pass, or every 3 months, or something just a little bit more reasonable, right? Every 3 months there's a balance pass, right? They tweak a point, they tweak a rule, they add an errata, whatever. So that way the game is constantly in a better place. Now, instead what we're gonna get is 3 more books for the rest of the year. Essentially, we're gonna get Black Templars, and then the 2 mystery books, which I'm hearing is Custodes and Genestealer Cult. That's what the rumors mill's saying. How accurate that is, we'll see. But that's what little birdies are telling me. And then who knows? They're saying it's gonna be a banner year for Chaos Space Marines. What? They're gonna reprint the Chaos Space Marine book a 4th time? Is that what they mean by banner year? Like, I can't anymore. So
is 2022 their year?
Yeah.
No, what you described is definitely a pipe dream. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, and then on top of that, they need to hire a solid fucking editing team, and they need to hire, and like if they want to have internal playtesters and not beta tests, they need to expand that team and invest a lot, like triple the team of playtesters, triple their team of editors, and invest a lot more in testing. And it can't be like when you do QA testing for like a video game, you're literally given a fucking list of shit to go through. Like go try this level 13 times and try to break this specific thing, right? Or go do this thing, and you got to go through a checklist to check all these things to make sure they work. It's a very methodical process when you do QA for like video games or other kinds of games. Like they don't just say, here's some rules, go play with them and do whatever, right? So if they're going to do playtesting, it needs to be a lot more like, hey, go play this army and play it against these 12 armies, and report back the game. And these it can't just be like, hey, go and right, like you know what I'm saying? Like there's got to be a more method to it, and they got to invest way more money into their playtesting department because it's just you get like the game is just in a bad place right now, I think. And I'm not seeing enough movement on Games Workshop. They're just so fucking slow to do anything about it. And only when the public outcry is like at a crescendo where people are literally like this is fucked, are they going to do anything? And look, AdMech got their FAQ. They just won US Open. Like we'll go through the tournament results. Do you know the only armies that won tournaments last week were armies with like new books basically? So which is like expected, but like it's a lot of AdMech and Drukhari, I'll tell you that. And Sisters. And we all know those are the S tier books, right? Those are the best books.
Yeah, and even then, like, there's still a gap between Sisters, AdMech, and Drukhari. Like, I think Sisters are great, and I think they're like a little overpowered, but like not unreasonably so. But compared to Drukhari and AdMech, it's like it's not even a comparison.
I agree, but what we've also seen is that in the right hands, like John has been piloting that Sisters list, they're fucking they're unstoppable, right? There's